Okay, so yeah, we're recording now. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Hello, I'm grand, Siobhán. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm really glad to be seeing you. This is actually the first time we've met, even though we worked like when did you make the video?
Was it 2 years ago or something like that?
I think it might have been longer.
Yeah, the start of it anyway.
Yeah, because it had a long gestation, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I think I remember seeing 2016 somewhere.
Oh my god.
This video 5 years old. 4 years old. Yeah, but it's beautiful.
Time just becomes this. Well, thank you.
I know. Yeah. Oh, great! I'm really, really glad. And so I was watching it again this morning and trying to come up with some questions about how you made it and why you did this and that. And but before we go into that, would you be able to tell me and everybody else what is your art? Can you tell us a bit about what you do and why you do it?
I suppose some people will call it video art. This strand of it would be video art, but I just enjoy creativity in general. And with this, I enjoyed the mixed media sort of aspect of rather than having one consistent style or one consistent approach to the video, it very much relies on contrasts to bring out the drama in the song. That was my approach to it anyway.
Yeah.
And when we first met, we talked a lot about surrealism, and it's very much about the juxtaposition of images and the spaces in between the images, and allowing the viewer, the listener, the spectator to make the connections themselves, rather than hitting them over the head with some sort of didactic, literal music video approach. So it's very much coming from a video art approach into the music video arena. That's my thinking on that particular piece.
Yeah, even when I was looking back over it, I was thinking, like the way that you did blend the different, what did you say? But the different types of
media.
Yeah, the mixed media, and how that really, whenever the actual nature shots came out, they just pinged right out. There's just, it was just beautiful. Yeah, and so I was going to ask you about. So the color tone and was that, and I thought that was another thing as well. So how the start of it is kind of grayscale and then the nature can just pop out. Was that intentional, and was that tied in with what was happening with the song and when, time wise, or was it an evolution thing for you for the video, for your art?
Very much. That piece relies very much on, for its drama, in contrasts. And its visual contrast, so it's going to be color, it's going to be tone, it's going to be texture. So it was a case of collecting together pieces and trying them against the track and seeing what collisions, what contrasts work and produce the best effect. And was it the best effect for that time in the song? And then very much getting your feedback from it and saying, that would be better here, or that would be better shifted a bit, or this piece of imagery, even though it's not a literal translation of that piece of the song, it reverberates better with this part, with this part of the song and moving things about. So very much, just a fluid process of getting the material together, the base material together at the start, and then expanding out from that, and then refining. So
if I ask about the base material, so the very start, and it's I don't know if you've seen the posters that I've used for the single, but I've used the image from the start, one of the images from the start of the video, where it's the house and the moon. Well, I think it's the moon or a moon, and maybe there's a teacup flying in space. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how did you come up with that?
Well, there's two strands to that. Right behind me, you can't see it now because the curtains are closed. There's a new housing development, and they were taking the land down and putting the houses up at that time. So there was literally a sensation, a drama of houses coming from space, landing in the back garden. But there's another strand that the song sort of, for me, dealt with things unsaid and things erupting that were previously unsaid, perhaps in a domestic situation. And the disruption that causes in people's lives. So the idea of a domestic thing, or what's more domestic than a house, juxtaposed in the vulnerability of the cosmos. And for teacups, for me, that was like the teapot. It's like a herald kind of a thing, you know. It's very abstract and surreal, I know, and that's an abstract and surreal image. The herald sort of dragging it to the other planet.
Oh, I didn't
So,
copy that. That's beautiful. Cool.
So, I mean, that's my interpretation. Everyone can have their own interpretation,
Yes.
but it's very much about the domestic juxtaposed in a threatening or a strange environment where things become disruptive and vulnerable.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, I definitely I understood the house and the domesticity and just this feeling of being in a vastness that you can't control. With the teacups heralding them to somewhere safe, that's beautiful. I didn't cop onto that. That's gorgeous. Cool. Can I ask you something about?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, work away.
No, I was just thinking that the whole teapot thing came from the idea of the sense of things unsaid and things erupting, and the idea of a storm in a teacup. And so that was the initial thought for that, and that's how that imagery evolved and developed.
Oh, right, because I came from it differently. I was thinking soft sea and water, and I was thinking water images and like how, you know, there's water in a cup and that could be in your hand, and then it can
absolutely, that's what,
and it's just expanding that your space being you're in control of the water, and then suddenly you're in the water. Or, I don't know. There was a water thing for me going on through that, which
definitely. That was part of my thinking too. Yeah, definitely. That, you know, there's the water, the ocean, the river, the cup. You know, it's all around us, and it just the song lends itself to that imagery. You know, but I didn't want to do something obvious with it. I want the teacup thing kind of like that surreal sort of like, you know, taking the domestic thing and again juxtaposing it in strange ways.
Yeah.
Which tied in with a conversation about surrealism at the time. I think we were talking about Jan Schwankmeer and people like that, and how they, you know, would use domestic items and reconfigure them, or, you know, juxtapose them with other more fantastical elements. So it very much comes from that Eastern European sort of thinking, you know, surrealism. So
cool. Would you be able to share me some links with that, and I'll put it up with the post. If you even afterwards, like there's no rush, there's nothing, you know.
I have a whole lot of imagery that can relate to what I'm saying, so
great. We'll share it with everybody when we put this out. Cool. So today, you know, since it's been like 4 years since we started this journey, and thanks to our friend in common, Tara, as well, for hooking us up.
Indeed,
so how have you found your creativity during this new COVID life?
It's gone off the scale, to be honest with you. I've just been totally focused on creativity as a diversion. I think I've made about 6 short wee mini films that have then developed into, well, at the very start I've made a film called Monster Hill, which was my first reaction to this crisis. It's up on the Vimeo channel. And it's kind of a homage to Toho Godzilla movies from the 1970s, animated. It's condensed into like the idea of a trailer for a film that never existed. And it was my initial reaction to this crisis, and, you know, how in these Japanese monster movies, there's a good monster and a bad monster, and, you know, there's like a COVID analog monster, and then I have like my local Godzilla analog monster. And it's very much like a childish reaction to, you know, just because when it first broke, it was such a mentally violent event for everybody. It was such an incursion into their everyday life. So that was my initial reaction. And I've made about 5 or 6 little mini films since then, in this time.
All in reaction to COVID, or
not in a direct way, not in a just to film it, not to film the time, but just to keep creative, you know. And a lot of them much more abstract. I was chatting with another artist about this, how it sort of threw out the idea of preconceived notions of an outcome for what you were doing. There was a sense of, well, what is the future going to be? So just create and just see just whatever happens. So that since the monster movie was a more not coherent, but premeditated result. I wanted out of that, but since this has gone on, it's just been very much about just the creative process. Just seeing what happens.
Seeing where that guides you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
And
glad to hear you say that, just to hear that somebody's broken through that, because like personally I've been completely stunted by this.
right.
Yeah, it's been, I don't know, I'm hopefully coming out. I'm like organizing another gig, but I've just heard there's another lockdown coming, so we don't know if that's happening now. But
Well, that's it.
so yeah, so maybe I should just do what you do, just create in the house. Yeah, just get past my.
Start with a central image, and just extrapolate it just wherever it takes. This is a great time to do that because nobody knows what's happening or what the outcome's going to be. So it's just a pure creative process. And then I think if you create enough material, then you can then get into the edit frame of mind to shape it in the edit, kind of an idea.
Yeah,
But,
just actually creating for creativity's sake.
Just to keep yourself, as positive force in your life, not worrying about a financial outcome or even a positive result, just as a process to keep you going through very much from a day-to-day basis, and allowing flexibility into the work so that, you may start off with one piece one day and then that can carry over into the next day and the editing process will completely transform it. And then on the third day, chug it all out and, just very much that idea.
Yeah. Do you have, do you have a routine? Do you have a daily routine that keeps you, and like how do you have the discipline?
Really, well, it was that way before this happened for me. I just like to keep. I think if you're going to be an artist, well, what people call an artist or just a creative person, I think you have to make a deal with yourself. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah. And I think everybody starts off with that intention. Initially, defining themselves, this is what I'm going to do. But you have to stick with that, I think. And even if the result isn't fantastic, you've gone through a process and it might lead to another idea and have something the next day.
Yeah, even the best, some of
every day.
Worst mistakes are the best mistakes because you've learned something from it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'll take you somewhere new. Yeah.
And I think maturing as an artist, a part of maturing of an artist is recognizing and seeing those mistakes and being able to discernment, being able to say, well, that mistake is a mistake and should be left there, but this mistake, there's an interesting thing happening here. Maybe we could develop it in a more conscious way and make it a positive creative thing. So my routine is every day at the computer, or if I'm not feeling like the computer, go out and take some photograph. I like just mix things. It's mixed media. I like to mix things up, and so I don't get stuck in a rut with something,
Yeah.
I think, I'm sure as you know, when you're mixing music and stuff, you always sit in front of the computer screen and stuff like that. And I think that can deaden the process in a way. So I think it's good to introduce other elements into it too. We're also dependent on screens and computers, and
yes,
I think that can stifle the process somewhat.
Yeah. Now you're saying that, I think that's part of why, because my creative, like I might write something, I might have ideas, but usually my way of bringing them all together is to sit down here at this computer with the keyboard and everything else, and it feels like it feels like
working away like a slog.
Yeah, or it's and I think I have my own weird parameters, like this has to be of a certain quality, and if I don't feel I have the energy or the enthusiasm for that quality, I just don't worry. I think that's what's happened to me all the time, but I'm gonna master through it.
Well, I mean, I reached the point with this where I was, on the computer so much, working all the time. I think it was making me ill, physically.
Yeah.
So get on the bike and, get away from digital devices and get away from the distractions and just, the most vital tool an artist or a creative person has is their imagination, and that's a mysterious flowing thing, and I think it can exist outside of the digital realm and then get recharged. And another aspect of it is, I used to play very badly the guitar years ago.
Okay.
But now I've got back into the guitar and making my own music for my phones. And I like to keep that process as analog as possible, and then bring it into the digital arena. So I think mixing it up is how I keep it fresh.
Yeah, that's a real great tip. I'm gonna remember that. Yeah. um,
I don't know if it worked, but
but
it
it's
works for
worth a
me.
shout, yeah, because you're so right. Because like my inspiration comes from various everywhere, like
Yeah,
nature,
everything.
ocean,
Yeah,
politics, social justice, the color of a tree. Do you know? It's like everywhere. So
absolutely.
why
Yeah.
can't I create in those spaces as well, and with those mediums? Or yeah, yeah, mix it up.
I think I went in. I think another thing is I went into further education as a mature student to study art and these
Yeah,
things. And in that, I'm really glad I did that because it taught you the creative process, and an insight into the creative process and how to keep it going. And I mean, only did it to A level, but you very much the way I was taught it was, you work on something for one piece in a very short period of time. That's done. Move on to something completely different. Move on, move on. So you're not getting, you're keeping it going. You're not stuck in a rut.
yeah, and you're not
And I
stuck.
think when you're working on your own in a controlled environment all the time, with your own thoughts, it's very easy to get stuck in a rut. So
Mm,
I think
yeah.
mixing it up, yeah.
And did you find, because you went back to it when you were older, that you had the maturity and maybe the understanding and the will to use everything that people gave you?
Absolutely, it was
Education?
fantastic.
Yeah,
It's fantastic. Further education. I mean, that really made a big difference to me.
yeah,
Um, because when I was a kid, the idea you could make a film was impossible. And that's what I wanted to do. And if you told people you wanted to do that, it was just like, that's not going to happen.
yeah.
It's
Wise
completely
up.
different now. There's so many opportunities, creative opportunities for people, at home with the technology. And I know now we're facing a situation where people, the courses aren't there. And, well, the situation we're currently going through.
Mm.
But to go in as a mature student and to see the potential of what you could do there and the help you could get and to make full use of it was a brilliant experience.
Yeah,
And it definitely is, I mean, your video, I always wanted to learn 3D graphics, which your video uses a lot. And I wouldn't have been able to do your video if I hadn't done a 3D computer course as a mature student and an animation course as a mature student. So, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation without
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah. And I was the
Yeah.
same. Like I went back as a mature student, but I was only like 23 or something. So, but I was still like 4 or 5 years older than my peers, and I definitely noticed a bit where I was appreciative of being there. I was like, oh, I'm actually studying music, because as like yourself, I never thought it was possible. It was a hobby. It was like, it was never something to be taken seriously. And it was like, no, I really am, and I've been
Yeah.
recognized. And it's like, fuck, yeah. So I just appreciating it there and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did help. Um, is there anything that you're working on now that you want to share with us or tell us about, or is
I
it
have a film that I'm really excited about called All Eyes on Gold Soul, which is a really wacky sort of cosmic kind of thing.
nice?
And that was finished just before this hit. And there's talk of putting it on in the gallery where the gallery you mentioned earlier on, which was the
Oh yeah,
last
Belfast, yeah.
animation.
What's
Yeah,
it
there's
called again? Sorry.
University of Atypical.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And there was talk of that, but now this has happened, so I'm just keeping that on ice, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I'm working on a new video that's going to be about 2 minutes long. That's come out of this process I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah.
Just a long creativity called Light from Space. And I met a guy who's a trumpeter through the internet. So I've laid down very sort of cosmic guitar effect textures, and he has a trumpet over the top of it. It's amazing.
Nice.
So I've got about a minute of the animation done. So that's what I'm currently working on. I'm really excited about it.
And did you start with this process?
No, go ahead.
Did you start with the music first and then in reaction to it, or?
This one, it actually came out of one of the films I've been talking, one of the 5 or 6 little films I've been making. The imagery from this sprang from that, and I thought I wanted to expand on that concept in a way, take it into a whole other realm. with some of the imagery from the little experimental film. And as I said, I've been getting back into guitar, so I wanted to push that. And then just by chance I met this guy online, and he said, what are you doing in this crisis sort of thing? I said, well, I make these weird films. I'm making music for it. He said, oh, that sounds really cool. So I gave him the link, and he said, if you ever need any music that I can do, let me know. I said, well, I'm working on this thing, and I think it's Light from Space, and the light is being generated with a video oscilloscope synthesizer. You put the sound into the synthesizer, and it responds to the sound, it produces the imagery. So his sound is going to be juxtaposed with this part of the process, and I'm really excited about that. I mean, that came out of nowhere, and I think the thing to learn from that is, luck happens, but you have to be ready. You have to be working when it comes along. You have to have the material there to build on. So even if you think at the moment you're a bit blocked with your work, just generate stuff, and maybe through the positive process of creating it, something will come into your life and you can develop it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I had my first band rehearsal yesterday this year, and oh my god, it was wonderful. Like some pieces were sublime, some pieces were ropey, but it didn't matter. It was just so lovely to be in a room with the five of us, and just performing together and playing together. Like, and it was the same for all of us. None of us had played with anyone since February.
So it was real relief.
Wow, yeah, it was. And then we went and swam in the sea afterwards. So maybe something's unlocked. And from talking to you today, like, yeah, I'm going to do something today. I will. Yeah. Yeah. Mark, it has been so wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much. And I love the video. I'm sure everyone else is going to love the video. I can't wait to share it with people. It's out on Friday.
Great.
Yeah, it's up on my YouTube. I'll put the links and all there, and we'll get all your links as well, and we'll put them with this as well. And if you don't mind, I'll use whatever info you give me, and I'll be sharing it through my socials, so to get them interested in your art. And we need to follow you.
I was somewhat presentable and coherent. It's a strange 21st century way of communicating.
It really is.
Real,
Uber coherent. I'm the one who's incoherent today. No, you're amazing. Seriously, you have been amazing. Thank you so much.
Do you want me to send you some imagery that relates to all what we were talking about with some notes?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you do it here, or do you want me to email it to you, or I don't know how this. I'll send you an email with some imagery.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, I'm just going to stop the recording now anyway, so we can chat after. For now, thank you so much, Mark, and looking forward to seeing your work on Friday and everything that you bring out in the future. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Siobhán. Pleasure to work with you.
You too.